Good day, second year students. Today we are going to start with a new essay, and the title of the essay is On Good Resolutions. This essay is by Robert Lind, and this is a very interesting essay. Before starting with the essay, I would like you to do a little bit of brainstorming. Now, I would like to ask you, what do you generally do on 31st of December, on the eve of New Year? Most of you will say that you make good resolutions, that I will wake up at 4 o'clock from the 1st of January, from the New Year, or I will do exercises, or I will go for a walk, or I will read one book each month from the new year. So there are a lot of good resolutions which we generally make on the eve of the new year. So these are called good resolutions. Notice the adjective good resolutions. Good means we want to improve of whatever we have been doing till now. So let us start with the essay. The essay says there is too little respect paid to good resolutions which are so popular a feature of New Year. We laugh at the man who is always turning over a new leaf as though he were the last word in absurdity, and we even invent proverb to discourage him, such as that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Now, the very first line says that there is too little respect paid to good resolutions, which are so popular a feature of good New Year. Why it is a popular feature? Because almost everybody makes a good resolution on New Year Eve. But why do we pay too little respect to the good resolutions? Because we know that we can't continue a good resolution for a long period of time. Good resolutions are made very easily, but they are not kept easily. So he says, generally, what do? We laugh at the man who is always turning over a new leaf. Turning over a new leaf means turning over a new page in the book of his life. Turning over a new page means each and every year we start afresh. We start with good resolutions, and in order to discourage such a person who makes good resolution, we invent proverbs that say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Means it is very easy to have good intentions, but it is very hard to keep and implement those good intentions. I continue. This makes life extremely difficult for the well meaning. It robs many of us of the very last of our little store of virtue. Our virtue we have hitherto put almost entirely into our resolutions. The essay says that we should not discourage a person who makes good resolutions, because by doing so, life is made extremely difficult. Why it is made extremely difficult? Because we are then devoid of virtue. He says, he gives this humorous statement that it robs us of the very last of our little store of virtue. He says that already our store of virtue is empty, and our store of virtue is contained only in good resolutions. Now, notice the punch in the line. He says that the little bit virtue which is left with us is only living in good resolutions, means only in intentions but not in implementation. So he says, and our virtue is almost entirely put into our good resolutions. To ask us to put into actions instead is like asking a man who has for years devoted his genius to literature to switch it off to marine biology. Again, there is a touch of humor. He says that these are two different things. Taking a good resolution is one thing and implementation is another thing. And these two things are so very different, so very opposite in nature, that suppose you people are literature students, and suppose I ask you that from tomorrow you will study literature, from tomorrow you will study biology. So it would be very, very difficult for you to study biology because you are literature students. So he says that making good resolutions and implementation of these good resolutions are two very, very different and opposite things. So he says that to ask us to put into actions means making good resolution is very easy, and if somebody asks that you should put these good resolutions into action also, but he says that it is like a man who has for years devoted his genius to literature. Okay, he says that there's a person who has devoted his time and energy to literature, and suddenly if we ask him to leave literature and switch it off to marine biology, he would be very baffled, he would be very surprised, and it would be very difficult for him to make these quick changes. Nature, unfortunately, has not made us sufficiently accommodating for these rapid changes. Now, again, there is a touch of humor. He says that nature has not made us suitable to make these quick and rapid changes. He says that it is very difficult for us to make these quick and rapid changes. Making good resolution is one thing, and putting it into implementation is another thing. She has appointed to each of us his own small plot, has made one of us poet, another an economist, another a politician, one of us good at making plans, another good at putting them into execution. He says that nature has given different qualities to different people. He says that someone from us is a good poet, someone from us is a good economist, and someone from among us is a good politician, and some people from among us are good at making resolutions, and some other people are good in putting them into action. So he says that these two qualities cannot fit one single personality. Which two qualities? Making good resolution and implementing those good resolutions. One feels justified then in claiming for the maker of good resolution a place in the sun. Place in the sun means a place of importance. He says that even if you are making good resolutions, even then you are doing some significant work. Good resolutions are too delightful a form of morality to be allowed to disappear from a world in which so much of morality is dismal. Now he says that nowadays morality is dismal, morality is fading away from our lives. But morality is still living in good resolutions. How it is living in good resolutions? Because we seek to make ourselves better persons in good resolutions. We want to change to some good habits. If we wake up late in the morning, our good resolution will be that from tomorrow, from the 1st of January, I will wake up early in the morning. If we don't take exercises, what do? We make good resolution from 1st of January that from tomorrow onwards I will take exercises. If we are not in the habit of helping our parents in the kitchen, then we make good resolution that we will help them in the household works. So why does he say that morality lives in good resolutions? Because we tend to make ourselves better persons with each and every good resolution. So he says that these good resolutions should not disappear from our lives. So he says They are morality at its dawn, morality fresh and untarnished and full of song. So he says that good resolutions are a form of morality, and they are morality at its dawn. Dawn means morning. Morning is very fresh, and in the morning you are filled with energy, filled with enthusiasm. In the same way, when we make good resolutions, it is compared with morality in the morning. Morning is filled with freshness, enthusiasm. But what happens as we proceed towards noon, as we proceed towards evening, our enthusiasm and our energy fades away, and by the time it is night, we forget about our freshness of the morning. In the same way, what happens with our good resolutions, that whenever we make good resolutions, we are filled with energy and we are filled with resolution, that determination that we will fulfill it, that we will implement it. So he says, they are golden anticipations of the day's work. Golden anticipations. We think beforehand only what will be the day like. He says they are golden anticipations of the day's work, anticipation of which, alas, the day's work too often proves unworthy. Now, they are the anticipations of those work which prove to be unworthy. Work, says Amiel somewhere, is vulgarized thought. Work, I prefer to say, is vulgarized good resolution. So he quotes Amiel and says that according to Amiel, work is vulgarized thought. Vulgar means something of lower rank. He says thought is higher level, and when we put into work, when we put into action, it becomes vulgar. Vulgar means low level. And the author says that he prefers to say that work is vulgarized good resolutions. Whenever good resolutions are put into action, they are made vulgar. They lose their standard. There are no doubt some people whose resolutions are so natively mediocre that it is no trouble in the world to put them into practice. Now he says that there are some people who make such low level or very easily achievable good resolutions that it is no wonder that they put them into action. For example, if you wake up at 7 every day, and if you say that I will wake up at 6:45 from 1st of January, so it is very easy. Waking up 15 minutes before is not very tough. But if you are waking up at 7 every day and you say that now on I will wake up at 5 a.m. in the evening, then it is not achievable. But he says that there are some people whose good resolutions are so easily achievable that it is not hard for them to keep their good resolution. So he says, it is no trouble in the world to put them into practice. Promise and performance are in such cases as like as a pair of twins. Both are contemptible. Now again a touch of humor. He says promise and performance. Promise means good resolution and performance means putting them into action. He says in such cases, when the good resolution is not very high level, he says that in such cases they are like a pair of twins. They go together. Good resolution and action go together. But he says that both are contemptible, means both are unworthy. But as for those of us whose promises are apt to be Himalayan, but he says that I am talking of those people whose promises, whose good resolutions are Himalayan. Himalayan means very big. How can one expect the little pack mule of performance to climb to such pathless and giddy heights? Now, I would like you students to notice the touch of humor and also notice how he has given us a very good comparison. He says that suppose your good resolution is Himalayan. Himalayan means as big as Himalaya. And he says that if the good resolution is Himalaya, then the performance or action is like the mule. Mule means a cross breed of donkey and horse, which is which is habitual to climb the mountains. He says that how can you expect that mule to uh, climb the Himalaya? Now, what is the Himalaya? Himalaya is a good resolution, and the pack mule is performance or putting them into action. He says, how can you expect this little pack mule of performance to climb to such pathless and giddy heights? Why the Himalayas are pathless? Because there is no path made, there is no roads, there are no roads, and they are giddy heights. The heights are so that you feel giddy climbing them. Are not the Himalayas in themselves sufficiently inspiring spectacle? All the more inspiring, indeed, if some peak still remains unscaled, mysterious. Beautiful statement, he says. Himalayas in themselves are a very beautiful sight. Even if you are even if you are not able to climb them, the Himalayas, if you look at them from a distance, they are a beautiful sight. So what does he want to say? That even if you are unable to put into action or achieve some good resolution, the good resolutions themselves are very beautiful. He says, and the peak of Himalayas are all the more beautiful if some peaks still remain unscaled and mysterious. If you if you win all the peaks, then what would be the mystery? So we will continue tomorrow. Thank you.